In this box here I have a very interesting and unusual family heirloom which I've been lent temporarily, and in this video I'll be showing it off and just seeing what I can do with it. So opening it up, you can see the box is filled with a large number of these smaller boxes and other containers, and in each of these containers you can see there are just stacks and stacks of these very unusual looking photographic glass plates, many of them by the look of it over 100 years old. And lifting up the viewer, it's the same thing, just holders full of these same very strange glass plates. And in total there must be at least a few hundred. So taking some of these plates over to my light box, you can see on each plate there are two almost identical, roughly 1.5 inch square photographs. And from just a brief look through the box I can see that they're all from the early 1920s. And with subjects you can see they're written in pen, like Trewham Bridge 1920, and Ruth at Sherwood, Newton Moor, August 1922. Mostly taken in various locations around the UK, with some taken in France. And just looking at them here, I can see that the quality and detail of the images looks very, very good. And so I'm quite hopeful that we'll be able to do some interesting things with them. Now, in case you don't know, the reason for there being two nearly identical images on each plate is that these are stereographs. Now, stereographs have been around for a very long time, more or less since the invention of photography. And the way they work is very simple. So if you imagine that one of the ways we perceive 3D is that your left eye sees one view of the world, and your right eye sees another slightly different view of the world, and your brain interprets the difference between these two images as distance. Well, if you then imagine that I take one picture from the point of view of your left eye, and then a second picture from the point of view of your right eye, and then later on I place each image just in front of its corresponding eye, you can imagine that you can trick your brain into merging the two pictures into one 3D image. Well, anyway, I'll try and demonstrate this a bit later. So you may be wondering what kind of camera took my stereographs. Well, unfortunately I don't have it, so I can't test it out. But stereography was very popular around the time these were taken, and the camera that took my stereographs might have looked like any one of these. And you can see that although all of these cameras are very different, each of them has two lenses, and the distance between the lenses on each camera is always roughly the same distance there is between eyes on a human face. And that's the trick to making these stereographs work. So I'll show you now how you're supposed to view these stereographs, and I'll talk a bit about what I'm planning to do with them. So this is the special viewer that goes along with this type of stereograph, and it's just a wooden box really, with frosted glass on one side and lenses for your eyes on the other side. And of course a little slot where you slide in the stereograph. Now unfortunately I won't be able to fully replicate the 3D effect of stereographs on video. So for now I'll just show you what the image looks like through one eye hole at a time. So we're looking through the left eye hole now, and as I slide in the plate you can see the image come into view. And that's the view through the right eye hole. And the two images side by side. Now the effect of looking through the viewer in person is really quite impressive. Your brain just merges the two images together completely. And looking at the screen now, you actually may be able to unfocus your eyes enough to merge the two images, even without a viewer. Although not many people can do this, and I certainly can't. But luckily there is an established way to replicate the 3D effect of stereographs on a 2D screen. And the way to do that is just by flicking back and forth between the two images like this. And as you watch, you should be able to see this 3D effect coming through. So what I'm going to do next is just to use my film scanner to scan these plates at the best possible resolution, and then using Photoshop I'm going to create GIFs from the scans, and what these GIFs will do is just flick between the left and right images on a particular slide. So I have some chosen plates here, and I just need to somehow attach a plate to this, the film holder, and that's the part that actually holds the film and slides into my scanner. And I'm trying to use the film holder like I normally would with film, but it's not really working, and I don't really want the film holder to pop open mid-scan. So in the end I just removed the film holder part and used masking tape to secure the plates. So the most important thing is just that the plate is perfectly parallel with the film holder, and tape was the best thing I could find for sticking the plate down. But in the end it did actually work very well. So after cleaning the plate with cloth and a dust blower, I can insert it into the scanner. And opening view scan, I'm scanning at 3200 dpi on the slide film setting. And so once I've done a preview, I just select the part of the image I want, and then do the full high resolution scan. And this is sped up about 10 times. The full scan usually takes about 5 minutes at this resolution. And the scanner does seem to automatically focus fine with the glass plate. I was a bit worried about that just because it is so much thicker than regular film. And the scan is really looking very, very good. It's in focus and you can really see all the detail. I can then eject the film holder and just repeat the process with the second image on the plate. So I'll just quickly now go over the process of converting these scans into GIFs. So I've imported both scans into Photoshop, and flicking between the two layers you can see that they're not very well lined up. So I'll turn down the opacity on the top image, and then I'll zoom in and choose some point and line up the two pictures. And it can take a bit of time just to get everything aligned perfectly. Then I can adjust the brightness and contrast to even out the two images a bit. Then to create a GIF, I go to Window, Timeline, Create Frame Animation, Make Frames from Layers. Then for the interval, I'm going to pick 0.2 seconds, which I found is about right, and then repeat forever. Then finally, to save as a GIF, I go to File, Export, Save for Web Legacy, and then Save. And that's it. And then this is the final result. Okay, so I've now scanned quite a few of these plates, and I've now also made a montage of some of the best ones. And I've also added some sound effects to the montage just to make it a bit more immersive. So without further ado, here it is. Okay, hopefully that was interesting. I will just say I was very impressed by the resolution of the photos I was able to get out of the transparencies. It's just that to me it does seem quite surprising from such small images on 100-year-old plates. And if you're interested, all these stereographs were taken by my great-great-grandfather Kenneth. And the little girl you see in a lot of the photos is his daughter Ruth, so my great-grandmother. And yes, it is slightly sad seeing all these pictures of my ancestors who have now all vanished from the earth. But in any case, these stereographs really do give an amazing view into the past. And one really interesting thing that I was able to find was some modern images of some of the locations found in the slides. So you see on the left there, that's the Great Clock in Rouen, Normandy in 1924. And on the right, the same scene about 100 years later. And you can see that very little has really changed. And for this one I couldn't find a picture of the exact angle, but you can see on the left that's the Falls of Troim in Scotland in 1920, and on the right the same spot 100 years later, again almost unchanged. And I might actually try to track down more of these locations, and eventually maybe I'll even be able to visit some and take photos from exactly the same angle and maybe even with a similar camera. But that's about it. Thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe and see you next time.